Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Live and Learn. I'm Anna, and I'm from Crowdfunder. For obvious reasons, we can't hold our workshops on location at the moment, so we're bringing them to you from our homes into your homes. So hopefully by the end of today's workshop, you'll leave knowing a bit more about crowdfunding and how to make a successful crowdfunding project. We'll be covering what is crowdfunding, the benefits of crowdfunding, what makes a good project, our 3 steps to success, and we're also going to show you how to access the best advice and support. At the end, you'll be sent a link to the Learn platform, which will show you how to crowdfund, giving you the tools to raise the money to make your idea happen. So before we begin, just a little bit of housekeeping for you. We have allowed an hour for the session, but it might take a bit less than that, depending on the conversations and the questions. If you do want to ask a question, do type it into the chat box to the right of your screen, and we'll try and get through as many as we can during the live session. And finally, in case any of you are sitting there wondering if we can see you, don't worry, you can see us, but we can't see you. So let's get going then. So today we're going to hear from one of our crowdfunding coaches, Bertie. Are you there, Bertie?
I sure am. Hi, Anna. How are you doing?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. How are you?
Good. Very well. Good. Thanks for everyone for joining.
So, Bertie, for those who don't know, can you let us know and tell us a little bit about crowdfunding?
Yeah. So crowdfunding is an alternative form of finance. It is a method by which you set yourself a target, a timeline in which to reach it, and you're raising money from the crowd to help you get there. Shall I tell you a bit about the background and get started on the presentation?
Absolutely.
So, essentially, Crowdfunder in itself has been around for about 5 or 6 years. And within that time, crowdfunding has certainly become much better known. So whether we see it in the news, whether we see it in the environment, whether we see it during COVID, it certainly is becoming much more understood and recognized. So Crowdfunder UK is the #1 rewards-based crowdfunding website. And to date, the projects that have used us have raised over £110 million. And that's about 200 people adding projects to the website every single day. So it is a completely open platform. So you might be here because this is a general crowdfunding session from a business. You might be from a charity. You might be a publisher. You might be a filmmaker. The concept of crowdfunding remains the same and is attributed to all types of projects. So crowdfunding, there's still a bit of a myth to dispel. We as coaches, Anna and I, make sure that the conversations that we have with projects, that it's understood that crowdfunding isn't about just having an idea and sharing it on our website and waiting for the money to roll in. It doesn't work like that. It is a self-driven exercise. So what you do is you visit crowdfunder.co.uk, you add a project, you tell your story, so who you are, what you're doing, why it's important, and how it's going to happen. You choose a target and a timeline. So 4 weeks is the traditional crowdfunding project. And then you add a number of rewards that you're going to be able to encourage people to pledge on and that you'll distribute after the campaign. And once you've got all of that material together, you'll launch your project. This will give you a URL, and that's that link that you're marketing and sending out to all of your friends, family, customers, supporters, and on your mailing lists, with the hope that they'll land on your page, be encouraged and inspired by what they see, and can either donate or choose a particular reward that you've made available. So rewards-based crowdfunding is our kind of unique selling point. You'll be familiar with other platforms like Just Giving or GoFundMe. Sorry for the slight background noise. The rewards-based crowdfunding might be best for Anna to describe this slide whilst that's hammering is going on. think it stopped. Just there for you just in case, Anna. But yeah, traditional donation-led platforms like Just Giving will allow you to... do you want to take it, Anna? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bertie was talking about donations only campaigns. So for example, Just Giving, if you're running a marathon, people might donate to your campaign, just a monetary amount, whereas rewards-based crowdfunding is them offering, receiving something in return for their financial contribution. So this could be a product, it could be a service, it could be an event, or even an experience. One good example is, for example, if you're opening up a bakery, one reward that you could offer would be either a loaf of bread of the bakery or even a baking workshop as well. So that's sort of a little sort of summary on what rewards-based crowdfunding is. With crowdfunding, you better there, Bert?
Yeah, we're back. Sorry, there's a bit of building out and into another room. Thank you, Anna. So yeah, rewards-based crowdfunding is a way of leveraging further support from your audience. And when you're starting a crowdfunding campaign, you have the option to run two different types of project. So the first being an all or nothing campaign, which means you set a target, you absolutely must hit it, otherwise the money is going to be refunded to your audience. Or you choose a flexible funding campaign, which means you choose target, and that money, you don't have to hit the target, you keep whatever you raise. So I can imagine some of you are sitting there in abject horror as to why anyone on earth would choose to run such a campaign as an all or nothing. But in fact, that is our recommended funding method, purely because it encourages projects to really, really focus on a realistic target, because the target you choose has big psychological impacts on the crowd. For example, if you choose to go for £1 million, but you're only about a £3,000 project, that's going to really discourage people from making a pledge. So we know that successful campaigns are run with logical and realistic targets in mind. And we know that there's an urgency surrounding an all or nothing campaign, because if you absolutely must get there to draw down the money, then that's a huge incentive for yourself as the project owner, as well as everyone else. So like Anna's example about the bakery, it could be used also for capital projects, because for that bakery, you might need, let's say, £10,000 to open. And if you don't raise that amount of money, then you can't open, and therefore you can't make good on the promise to deliver your rewards. So that's another case. Flexible campaigns, we tend to see across charities, across COVID response, where any type of sort of money is going to benefit the project. But the key advice is set a target, which is the minimum needed to get your project off the ground. And you can always overfund and stretch your target beyond that phase. Stretching your target essentially means that you've hit your initial target, and you're using a mechanism to change the progress bar on your campaign, and that encourages people to continue to give, and you don't need to hit your stretch targets. It's just a way of encouraging people to continue to give. So benefits to crowdfunding is so much more than just a financial exercise. So really, yes, you'll be walking away with hopefully with the cash you need to get your project started, but there's much more besides that kind of financial part of it that is really going to help you. So crowdfunding is all about validation. Crowd support means that you have to get people to back you. So a project with hundreds or thousands of backers will suggest that there's a real demand or interest in that service or particular project. Vice versa, if it can't scramble together 10 or 20 backers, then to the project owner, that's quite a swift and stark message to say that it doesn't have the appeal or the interest needed to get it off the ground. So back to the bakery, if you're crowdfunding for a bakery in your local town and you can't get anyone to back it, then there might be that there's several other bakeries already, or there's just not the interest there. So it's a great way for anyone with a business to test really what the demand for that service is going to be. And awareness. So crowdfunding, if you're not already, you're going to soon become a marketing expert, because we'll teach you how to share your project with all of the networks that you'll identify as being relevant to your particular project. So if you're running a 4-week crowdfunding exercise, then the natural product of this is that you're going to be raising awareness, because you're speaking to all of these different people that make up your network and raising the profile of what you do. So yes, you'll go away with the money, hopefully, if you run a successful campaign, but you'll also have started many more conversations and open many new doors to possible partnerships that are going to exist well beyond the campaign in itself. And what you'll get at the end of your campaign is a huge list of your backers. So this is going to be sorted in an Excel spreadsheet. It's going to be GDPR specific, and it will show you who you can contact in the future. So those 100 or 1,000 supporters you've got will quickly turn into possible customers, volunteers, and partners for the future. But as we've discussed already, crowdfunding, there's a huge amount to learn, and it's not kind of reinventing the wheel surrounding your business or your charity. So you'll really be understanding about how to tell your story, which channels you'll use to promote to reach your audience, what your messaging is going to be, and what people respond to. So there's a huge amount to learn off the back of the crowdfunding campaign. And extra funding is the second half of the crowdfunder business. So we work with councils and corporations around the whole of the UK who have got certain types of funding available for certain types of projects. And through our website, when you start creating a page, you'll be able to apply directly to the funds that we think are going to match. And if your application is successful, that money can be pledged directly from the fund onto your page to help you get to your target. So we've got a few examples here to give you an idea of kind of some crowdfunding in action. So I think from the first one, we've got Growing Wellbeing in Loughborough Junction. This is a Lambeth-based project. It's a city farm, and to date they've raised nearly £6,500 from 100 supporters. And essentially, in the COVID-19 pandemic, they want to support local people to keep healthy and this winter and reduce loneliness and isolation. So they are essentially a crowdfunding by selling their produce as a farm or memberships to enable people to contribute, and thereby they can raise the money to expand their services in their community. Below that, we've got an incredible book, which is published by we've got Claire here, and the name of the book is The Dudley and Peggy. It's part of a series of books aimed for children, dealing with certain type of issues expressed through dogs. So they're a lot of fun. She, I think, has done an incredible campaign to raise nearly £6,000 from 136 supporters. And for anyone in there looking at how to dress a page for such a book or a creative project, that's certainly one to have a look at. We've got a Save Our Theatres campaign running at the background. So if interested or representing a theatre yourselves, if you visit Save Our Theatres crowdfunder, you'll be able to see a really wide cross-section across the whole of the UK, theatres who are crowdfunding in response to the pandemic. As you know, many of them have either closed completely or have to offer completely different show experiences with very limited numbers, and thereby the creative industry here has been impacted hugely. and this is part of a wider campaign to restore and ensure the support for theatres in the UK. This individual theatre, Lyric Theatre in Hammersmith, have raised nearly £40,000 from nearly 500 backers. And lastly, but not least, a personal favourite of mine in Cornwall, where we're based, there's certainly a lack of things to do for young people, and particularly at the moment where young people are in a difficult position, whether it's being in and out of school, for whether or not to go to university or being at university. This is a wonderful project in Bude, Cornwall, who's put together a creative hub to attract lots of young people in the area, to give them extra skills to learn about and a community to engage with. And this has got made a lot of noise in Cornwall because it's attracted, I think, nearly 3 different types of fund from Cornwall Council. So a good example of how to get match funding. So associated with the crowdfunding campaign, there are 3 bits of work that you're going to have to become ready to embark on. These 3 bits of work include the creation of a page. So that is just to tell your story. You're going to create a network map, and the network map will essentially, as a spreadsheet, will identify all of your intended audiences and a marketing plan. So what you're going to do each day to promote your campaign. So those, if you're thinking about doing a crowdfunding campaign, do kind of bear in mind those are the 3 outcomes that you'll need to do from putting together a campaign yourself. And the network map, we're going to have a look briefly at each. The network map is a creative exercise that you can do with anyone in your team. And I think when it comes to crowdfunding, you'll want to get a team together, because we know that the more people you've got to help you, many fingers make lighter work. And also between us, we've got much greater networks or size of networks than we do individually. So, for example, with the crowdfunding campaign, we always start with those who are most familiar to us and work our way up from there. So we know that if we can get 4 other people to help us in our crowdfunding journey, then it's likely that each of us will know 20 people, from friends, family, colleagues, neighbors, etc. And 5 people who know 20 people each, that's 100 people. And we know for a donation campaign, that would mean your first £2,000. And we know for a rewards campaign with a variety of different price points, the average amount pledged is £50. Therefore, that would be your first £5,000. So it's always that audience you reach first, and you will have a look at it, but you don't hop very quickly between them. You must kind of work your way through each one specifically, which will ensure you are prepared to reach out to the rest. So existing supporters, you're going to need to line up all the databases that you've got access to if you're an established project. So that's newsletters, that's emailing lists. You have to kind of employ all of the assets that you've got to ensure the wide promotion of your crowdfunding campaign. They are next on the list because they've already engaged with you. Maybe they've bought products, or they've previously supported your charity. We've covered team, press and blogs. So on a local and national level, what's relevant to your particular project? Think about the themes that you're addressing or what you're dealing with. Research on Google to see which journalists have discussed or covered that kind of material in the past, and make those connections now. Local people, so that could be in your actual area itself, and that's similar to businesses as well. We know that in this day and age, everyone has their individual networks, their own individual networks, which means that your job as a project owner for a crowdfunding campaign is to try and get as great access to all of these individuals' networks as possible, because together you have a much bigger reach. So it's quite closely related to your marketing plan, because you'll be speaking to the local people with that you identify have audiences, similar to the businesses with audiences, similar to Facebook groups with audiences, and you'll be getting commitments from them to share posts about your project on particular days during your crowdfunding campaign. So Facebook is a great crowdfunding tool. Not only will you have a Facebook set up to support your business or your charity that you'll be promoting the crowdfunding campaign to, but you can research to find what groups already exist, because people have already made their own communities, and you need to become active in those communities and get in touch early on to find out at what level the admins of those pages will allow you to kind of enter the group and share any material they deem relevant. And partners, so anyone who supported you in the past, anyone who is a key partner on a day-to-day basis, they need to form part of your crowdfunding campaign. And as we say, that together with all of these different assets, you've got access to a very wide audience. So from what starts as a creative exercise, getting an exhaustive list of all these individuals and different networks, you'll compile it onto a spreadsheet. So really having a list of people, what method you're going to contact with them with, and the status of that contact. So you know exactly who's pledged, who you've asked to pledge, and who needs chasing. And this can, of course, be shared with any team members to contribute to, and then with anyone else who can help. So creating a page is a big part of the crowdfunding process. It will allow you to distinctly shape your story and to understand how to communicate it to your intended audience. Crowdfunding is free to set up. You only ever pay a fee should your project be successful, and that fee is taken off at the end. The fee is 3% plus VAT, which goes to Crowdfunder, 1.67% plus 25 pence per pledge plus VAT, which goes to Stripe, which is the payment provider. So when you're creating a page, all of the advice on Crowdfunder is very intuitive. So as you go through each section, you'll be adding different details about the page itself, covering about you, where you're based, the project basics, how much you're intending to raise, and the title, the project page. So that includes who you are, what you're doing, why it's important, and how it's going to happen. What target you're going to choose. So we always start with a minimum, adding a list of relevant rewards, a UK-based bank account, and choosing a particular date on which you want to go live. So that will stay in as draft as long as you want. So that is essentially one of my key recommendations, is to start that process now, because it's free to do, and the more you engage with it now, the better you'll understand about crowdfunding as you make your way through all of these little kind of guidance videos and bits of information on each section. So to show you kind of a nice example of a crowdfunding page, we're going to look at a wonderful project, which is, again, a publishing project called The Mermaid and the Cow. So we have got the link here. So I'm going to share my screen with you so you can have a look at the page with me. So hopefully you can all see that. As you can see, Lindsay, from Bristol, who's running it, has raised over £8,000. So she had an initial target of about £6,000. She set a target of 8 as a stretch, which she's now beaten. So she's over 100% funded, and from a coaching perspective, needs to set another stretch target. So that will reset her progress bar and encourage more people to get involved. She's got 290 supporters, and The Mermaid and the Cow is a fun kids adventure book based on a true story which inspires readers to help save our mermaids and friends. So this is essentially a detailed description of what the book is about, based on, but obviously for kids. and all of the illustrations that you can expect, the backstory to the actual author of how it came about, and lots of kind of decorative imagery which paints a very, very clear picture to the user or the visitor to the page exactly what the project is focusing on. So in this case, the environmental impact of plastics, of pollution, and how we can educate ourselves to make better decisions to protect the environment. You've got the rewards on the right-hand side of the page. So people can donate if they feel like the project is something that they believe in. They're happy to give their money for nothing in return. Or she's made a number of rewards available, like 2 signed copies and your name in the back for £24. Thank you for £3. Illustrated e-card £5. The book itself on its own £10. She's included a higher price point for anyone who's pledging from overseas and therefore needs to be paid for more extensive packaging and postage, and many more besides. The actual kind of rewards angle falls into 4 different categories. So you've got products and services, which is the book in itself, experiences and events, which might be a reading, it might be a chance to attend a particular lecture given by the Mermaid herself. You've got sponsorship and membership, so that is the opportunity to, if you wanted to get a series of books or a discount on future books, or to have your logo as a business in the book as a sponsor, and then general thank yous. So that's things like your e-card, rewards which are kind of free, easy and straightforward to give away. So we'll go back to the presentation, and next we are going to be looking at how to apply for extra funding. So this is, as mentioned before, a big part of Crowdfunder's business model. It's in our interest to get these funds out the door, and we work with a very, very wide range of corporates who've got social responsibility funds or councils who are trying to reach the projects in their county. And the process to applying to them is very simple and straightforward. It involves starting a project. You've got to do that first. And once you start filling in the basic detail about where your project's based, then our website will start suggesting which funds it believes to be relevant. And you will click directly on each of those funds and make an application. Crowdfunder are working really hard to make this process streamlined and the grant giving process very liquid. So for those of you who have applied to grants before, hopefully this will be a refreshing surprise, but it is encouraging these funders to be able to make quick decisions. We've got a fund distribution manager who will be sharing your application with the partners, we call them. And if approved, the pledge will be made onto your crowdfunding page to help you get to your target. So finally, last but not least, the marketing element of your campaign. As mentioned before, you start from the closest part of your network and you work your way out from there. So the first people to pledge or to hear about your campaign will be your team, your friends and family, existing supporters, and so on and so forth. So what you wouldn't do is you do a press release on day one on 0%, because you don't have any control of that particular audience. And what will happen is that they'll land on your page, they'll be discouraged to see no one else has pledged. They won't therefore find the credibility needed to make a pledge themselves. So when you're doing your network map, good way of thinking about this is numbering each of the groups you identify 1 to 4, 1 being closest to you, 4 being furthest away. And you contact all the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, and then the 4s. And support available. So Crowdfunder is, as mentioned, we've got 200 projects added each day. So we want to make as much advice available online as possible. So we do have one-to-one coaching. If you're applying to a particular fund, then that means likely you'll be assigned a coach. We've got an accelerator program, which we'll send you the link to after the webinar. Do join this. This is 2 weeks in November, and it is essentially a peer-to-peer learning course on Facebook. You jump in and out of it as much as you like, but it's featured lots of content of industry experts, coaching, and previously successful project owners. You're part of this big cohort of hundreds of other projects who are starting at the same time. It's a very kind of positive place to be. We have workshops like this. So keep an eye on crowdfunder.co.uk. At the bottom of this page, we've got an events section. And on that, you might see specific events around making a video, dressing up a page, or reaching out to your audience. We've got online guides and courses. So 3 guides on planning, creating, and running your project. And also the Learn platform, which was our invention across the lockdown period, where we weren't able to do our workshops. And essentially, it's a free platform which enables you to jump through all of the crowdfunding hoops and make sure that you're in the best place possible to start your campaign. There's live customer support. So any questions, contact support@crowdfunder.co.uk. Personalized email advice. So as soon as you start adding a page, we will know through our system exactly which stages you're at, and the website will tell you and send you relevant information to help you deal with each stage. And live project analytics. So you've got access to a dashboard once you're live, and the dashboard will tell you exactly what kind of traffic you're getting to your page, what channels people are using to, or what channels you're using to promote the project are proving to be the most effective, and how many pledges you're receiving on a day and how many visitors, so you can backtrack to see what's worked and what hasn't worked and try and replicate the success and remove any activities which aren't getting results. But the Learn platform is essentially, if you will send the link out to you, there's an introduction to crowdfunding one on there. We'll be covering a lot of the kind of basic advice that we've discussed in this webinar today, and it's a very good place for you to understand what's involved and be comfortable that you know exactly what to do when the time goes to actually go live. So that is your whistle-stop tour through the crowdfunding process. Anna is back in the room, and I thank you for asking some questions. I think we'll probably be able to run through some of those now.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me get them up. So we've got a question from Helen asking, is there an option to not give rewards out? What would your advice be, Bertie? So
yes, you can run donation-only campaigns. This is absolutely fine. We only recommend the use of rewards because it has the effect of increasing the amount someone's prepared to pledge, because the average amount pledged on a reward is 20, average amount pledged on average amount donated is £20, average amount pledged on a reward is 50. And that's because if you think about those categories we discussed on products and services, experiences and events, sponsorship and membership opportunities, and general thank yous, and you consider the different price points that might be accessible to the entirety of your network, then it enables people to give more if they have more to give.
Good answer. Yeah, I think it's definitely worth considering who you're going to be reaching out to. I think that's really important because there's no point putting rewards up there for the sake of them, but to really think about the audiences that you're going to be reaching out to over the course of the crowdfunder. So you've got a question from Ian. My crowdfunder is raising money for my local rugby club. How can members who aren't on the internet contribute?
So
oh, you're on mute.
Thank you. Crowdfunding is the same really concept of fundraising that the rugby club is used to, I'd suggest. It's just that you're doing it on an online format which means that you have a secure kind of bank account and page with which to share and communicate with your audience, it's only natural that you'll get checks or you'll get cash. So it would be up to you to cash the checks or collect the cash into the account and pledge that money onto the project yourself.
And you can set up an account on their behalf, can't you? So that it is sort of it is from them rather than.
Yeah. So for example, if you had a check from the local garage and you wanted to get their name as a supporter on your page, you might put Bert's kind of MOT Centre by creating a user. So you just go to the Crowdfunder website to do that, and then you can pledge the money under that name.
Great. And Colin's asking, can businesses donate?
Yeah. So the crowdfunding experience is open to everyone, and it's your job as a project owner to access or to understand where the money is going to come from, be it individuals, community groups, businesses. The process of making a pledge, we call it, or a donation is the same. They just have to get their finance person to choose the reward or donate a certain amount. And effectively what happens in crowdfunding is that that is charged there and then. The money's held in escrow, which is our payment provider called Stripe. Should the project be successful, then that money is paid out to you, the project owner. Should it fail, then it's refunded back to the supporter.
And I think it's there's a point around with, if businesses are going to donate to your project, perhaps it's worth having a conversation with them to tailor a reward that's really relevant to them. So that they could look at maybe a sponsorship reward, for example, and having that conversation for each individual business when you're thinking, if you've got a business that is potentially interested in supporting your campaign. So we've got a question from Ian. Can all rewards use gift aid?
No. So the gift aid rules against it. It will ask you when you're setting up a project which rewards are entitled to receive gift aid. And if you need any extra advice on that, then you can look at the gift aid section on the website, which will give you more details about what you can claim gift aid on.
Brilliant. And we've got a few more from Helen. Do advocates or donors get sent a permission form so I can contact them after the crowdfunder, i.e. for possible future support as volunteers? So,
great question, Helen. The benefit of the campaign or running it through Crowdfunder is that you'll get a very succinct and clear download of all of the supporter data. So those will be people who have donated, their email addresses. That will be those people who have pledged on a reward, any associated address with that reward that's needed to send it out. But also it will tell you exactly who you can and can't contact beyond the campaign. In the GDPR sensitive world that we live in, all of those I suppose options are given to the supporter as they make the donation or the pledge. So it's all formatted for you on completion of your campaign.
Brilliant. And Mike's asking about once you hit an all or nothing target, going for the stretch target, do we get to keep the original target if we don't actually achieve the stretch target? I think you mentioned it, you covered it a bit ago, but once you hit your initial target, that money is completely safe. You've secured it, and then anything extra that you do raise, you also get to keep. And it's definitely worth, with the stretch targets, choosing sort of small increments when you're setting your stretch targets to sort of keep people interested, and they can see that you're almost about to hit the next target, so they'll hopefully push you over to that next target again. Saying target a lot. Finally, we've got another question from Helen. Can donors opt to gift aid their donation?
Yeah. So if you're when you're setting up as a project, if you're eligible to receive gift aid, then you will click a box to do that. So it means that anyone who's then donating on your platform has the option to add gift aid to their donation.
Brilliant. We've got some more questions as well I've seen that's come through. So Maggie's asking, if you have no video to place on the profile, is that a big drawback? Yeah, we haven't really talked too much about videos yet. So yeah, far away, Bertie, what would your advice be?
Well, I always think that from a coaching perspective, the projects that have got a video have put more effort into the campaign itself. So it's like all of these things. By starting the work on building a page, making a video, a network map, you're quickly learning yourself how to better tell your story, and by putting this additional creative format together for a video, you're enabling people who would rather watch the information rather than read it. And some people prefer to do one or the other, and I think it's best to be able to do that. And a video doesn't need to be high tech. It's really 2 minutes long. It can be done on a phone, or it can be as high production as you like, depending on how much you want to raise. But there's lots of examples out there. So if you go to the explore section on crowdfunder.uk.co.uk, you can search by category, find projects similar to your own and see how they expressed it. But I think it's just a good opportunity as well to ask people to help you, because crowdfunding is one of those social exercises that you want to talk to people about before you go live. And I think a video, getting people together to help you, it certainly does that. But you can run a crowdfunding campaign without a video. You can do that.
Brilliant. So Polly is asking, if we're unsuccessful in meeting a target, do we still get charged the fee that was mentioned? So I'll answer that one. No, you don't get charged a fee if you are unsuccessful. We define success as either an all or nothing project that you hit your target, and you get to keep all the money, and you'll be charged a fee, or the other option, with a keep what you raise option. If you raise any money, that your project is successful, therefore there will be a fee attached to that. Nicole is asking, Nicole Hope, can I manage a campaign on behalf of a smaller community group?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you'll need their identification that matches the bank account to meet all the checks and balances. But otherwise, you are considered the project owner who's running it on their behalf. So you can certainly do that.
Great. Let me just see if there are any more questions. So Ian's asking, is there a way that a pledge can be treated as a part payment, i.e. £1,000 life membership, but you only need a down payment of £200?
So essentially, where we've seen something similar is for projects that are doing a deposit. I had one in the New Forest who were trying to collect funds to weather the COVID storm, and they were offering deposits as rewards. So if someone pledged on a kayaking weekend, they pledged £200, and that would form the deposit, and they'd pay the remainder on arrival. So I think it's an idea. It's not what we probably see that much of on the website.
That's Good, thank you. So I think that is all the questions that we have time for today. If you've got any further questions, just email our support team at support@crowdfunder.co.uk. They will be very, very helpful for you. And as we've talked about, we will send you the Learn platform afterwards. Definitely encourage you to have a look at that. And it will hopefully give you a bit more of an insight into the world of crowdfunding. And I think that's everything for today. Do you have anything else, Bert, that you want to share?
Well, thanks for bearing with us through all of the banging, and for joining. We'll hope to see you on the website, and I wish you all the success should you wish to decide to crowdfund.
Thank you very much, everyone, then. Bye-bye.